Alright guys, Raw Rossler here, and today I will be reviewing the September 13th edition of Smackdown Live, the last Smackdown Live I will probably be reviewing. It's going to be very hard for me, living in Lincoln, to review Raw and Smackdown Live, especially every day, so this probably will be the last Smackdown Live review. I've loved reviewing these shows. They haven't been great all the time, but they've been very enjoyable to critique and look at from an analytical as well as from a fan standpoint. Just a quick reminder, tonight of course is the last, the finale of the CWC and another edition of NXT. I'll be reviewing those tomorrow. That will be my last video before I move, so that's going to be a fun one. Anyway, let's talk about this episode of SmackDown Live. Of course, the first SmackDown Live since Backlash, which was 2 days prior, which they kept messing up on the show, saying last night AJ Styles won the title when it was actually 2 days ago he won the WWE World title. But anyway, let's get into the show. The show kicked off the only way it really could, with AJ Styles in the ring, basically talking about how he told everyone. He told us he was going to beat John Cena, and at SummerSlam, he did. He told us he was going to beat Dean Ambrose, and at Backlash, he won the WWE World Championship. AJ would then be interrupted by a returning John Cena. We had Rusev return on SmackDown and John Cena return on Raw. I am excited for John Cena's return. This brand has missed that big star power. When I looked at the Backlash show, there was no real star power outside of AJ Styles. So it's great to see John Cena back, and as this promo progressed, John Cena would first say to AJ Styles, "You have something of mine," and AJ would very quickly give him the armband back. He doesn't need it anymore. He has a new trophy in the title. John Cena would then go again, which I thought was kind of a heel move. He said, "You still have something of mine." That title, John Cena would then proclaim himself as the 16-time world champion, saying that he will beat AJ Styles for the title. We would then have the former WWE World Champion, Dean Ambrose, come out, and he talked about how AJ made the biggest mistake of his life at Backlash. He will never, ever escape Dean Ambrose again. Ambrose will get the belt back. This was such a fired up Dean Ambrose. And at the end of the segment, one more person would come out, Shane McMahon, who would announce that at No Mercy, we will be getting a triple threat match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, and John Cena. Makes perfect sense. John Cena should be in the world title picture on this brand. He hasn't been in the world title picture. For people who complain, John Cena hasn't been in the world title picture since SummerSlam last year. And, you know, he hasn't main evented a pay-per-view since 2014. And that was a big, 10-man match. So, cut the guy some slack. He does deserve to be in this world title matchup. This triple threat between Ambrose, Styles, and Cena could be great. It really does sound like a really exciting matchup to me. I'm really looking forward to it. But it's also best for booking. So you don't have Cena Styles. That should be probably the matchup for Survivor Series or even WrestleMania if you're willing to go that far with AJ. You shouldn't straight up rematch Ambrose and Styles one-on-one at No Mercy because we've just seen it, and you could have a stipulation, but a lot of people today don't seem to be liking the repeated main events. So good job there. And you can't just have no world title at the next pay-per-view. So I think the booking here is perfect. Triple threat match should be awesome. And this promo, by the way, from these three guys was fantastic. The best thing of the week in terms of Raw and SmackDown. Really great. All three guys were on fire with their promos. Cena showed intensity and he was back, and Ambrose honestly came off as a little bit of a heel. But if they turn Ambrose heel, that's great because they really do need another big heel. They have, obviously, the faces, Cena, Orton, Ziggler. So on the heel side, they only have Bray Wyatt and AJ, really, and I guess Miz, but Miz isn't a main event caliber heel. Whereas Ambrose, if they turn him heel, because he sounded really heel in this promo, and at the end of the night, again, he sounded very heel. And the crowd honestly turned on him at Backlash, so they could honestly turn him heel. It'd be very good. But yeah, really good opening segment. I'm talking about it a lot because it was really, really good. I really enjoyed this. This, to me, probably, honestly, I watched this segment and I was like, this show is going to be better than Raw. And I'm not sure if it was in the end, but we'll talk about that at the end. Next up, we had our first match of the show, the Hype Bros against the Usos, a rematch. Definitely nowhere near the length of the matchup they had, the 10-minute one at Backlash. This was around 3 minutes. Very, very quick, very straight to the point. I did like the booking. Usos go over again. No 50-50 bullshit. We have a straight win for the Usos. They win with the big splash instead of the Tequila Sunrise, which I feel like they should probably use that not too often, because of course the Revival don't use their submission expertise too often, but they should incorporate it on big matches, on pay-per-views maybe, to surprise people. I'm not going to rate the matchup. It was only 3 minutes long. The Usos won. Very, very well booked. The matchup was fine. Then we had Curt Hawkins, who apparently was supposed to debut on the show. I remember last week saying he was debuting this week, and he didn't debut. He was in a vignette, and he was there, and that was pretty much Curt Hawkins for the night. We moved on to The Miz and Maryse discussing the victory at Backlash. Miz, honestly, such a great promo again here. Really talks about how no matter what, people can call him a coward, but it doesn't matter because he has the woman and he has the title. Dolph Ziggler would then come out, cut one of those fiery, passionate promos. Maybe too passionate. Dolph Ziggler needs to kind of pull it back a slight bit because it's coming off as a little bit corny now to me. But really good promo from both guys. It would end up with Daniel Bryan coming out saying, no, Miz, Dolph Ziggler will get his rematch because he's owed it, because he was cheated out of the belt. And Miz just says, you know what, pretty much, I don't need this, and just leaves. And Daniel Bryan gets in the ring, and the Miz is gone. So Daniel Bryan's like, what just happened? Great promo from Dolph Ziggler and the Miz. I thought the ending with the Miz leaving and Daniel Bryan getting to the ring was a little bit silly, but oh well, really good promo again from these guys. Not as good as the opening segment, but a really good segment. AJ Styles was backstage and he would ask Baron Corbin, oh, I apologise. In the opening segment, I forgot to mention that a tag team match had been made for the main event. It would be Dean Ambrose and John Cena taking on AJ Styles and a partner of his choosing. So throughout the night, AJ Styles would go around looking for a partner, and the first one he would look at was Baron Corbin. Corbin basically said to Styles, why would I compete with you when I could compete against you for that title, and then walked away. So Styles was shunned by Baron Corbin. That's shocking when I think about it. Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin would be the next match, a Backlash rematch. Crews, as he came to the ring, would be attacked by Baron Corbin and would then be end of days on the outside. Crews honestly looks so much like a jobber. I think a Crews heel turn, and I know I just said Ambrose should turn heel, we don't want to turn everyone heel. A Crews heel turn would be a great way to rebuild him, give him some great momentum, have him go after, I don't know, Dolph Ziggler is doing pretty well. Maybe even the Dean Ambrose if he doesn't win the belt, which I imagine he won't. So you need to do something with Crews. You need to repackage him. You need to change something about him because he really isn't getting over, and you aren't booking him very efficiently either. Corbin would then go in the ring and basically gloat, and then we would have the newest Smackdown signing, I guess. The newest Smackdown signing to a contract. Jack Swagger, who of course had a promo on Raw where we found out that his contract with Raw was expiring. That shows how much faith Raw had in him. They gave him a very short contract. So yeah, Jack Swagger is now part of SmackDown. He again cut a promo, and I genuinely enjoyed this. I felt like he showed charisma that he hasn't ever shown. Not as like he wasn't like charismatic like a Owens or a Rollins or a Styles, but he showed more charisma than he probably ever has in his career. He talks about his hot wife, and she is hot. Yeah, so Jack Swagger's on SmackDown. Jack Swagger is a very good wrestler, although he can't quite get emotion and stories. He doesn't really incorporate them in his matches. He's very much a straight wrestler. He's Kurt Angle, very toned down, and you know he's okay. And if they're feuding him with Baron Corbin, that's at least a matchup that could be somewhat decent. But he shouldn't be main event in the show, and I imagine he won't be. But Swagger, charisma here was very good. Good for Jack Swagger. Oh yeah, I just said he's on SmackDown now. Becky Lynch would then address the championship victory from Backlash. She talked about being Rocky Balboa and how coincidental it is that she's in Philadelphia of all states. Of course, the city where Rocky Balboa is from. And then she would talk about how the division is fierce, and she's just looking for another challenger to step up and try and take the belt from her. We would then have the promoted, which was promoted before the show, the women's 5-way, the fatal 5-way. It wasn't elimination, it wasn't a 5-pack challenge, which I thought was very, very nice. We don't want the same match 2 nights in a row. 5-pack challenge. Of course, Eva Maryse still not back, so we had the five losers from the matchup at Backlash. We had Naomi, Nikki Bella, Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and Carmella. Decent little matchup. I forgot to grade it. I think I'll grade it now. Give it 2 3/4 stars. It was a decent matchup. There was no breaks, which I liked. It went very, very smooth. It went probably 9 minutes, maybe a little bit less or more. Yeah, either way. But a decent little matchup. Good back and forth. Everybody got their spots in. And in the end, a shocking finish to me. I would have predicted Natalya to win because I felt like a Natalya-Becky Lynch feud, a couple of great matches, could really legitimise the belt. But in a shocking twist, I think really shocking, I was shocked, Alexa Bliss would win the matchup, the first woman eliminated from the Backlash match, so it at least gives her some big credibility back to beat 4 women, 1 fall to a finish. In the end, the finish would be Nikki was going to TKO Alexa Bliss, Carmella would superkick Nikki Bella, meaning their feud will still continue. I imagine they will have a matchup for No Mercy. And Alexa Bliss would throw Carmella out the ring and pin Nikki Bella. Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch would be announced on Talking Smack as a matchup for No Mercy. It hasn't been fully declared that it will be, but I imagine it will be. Should be decent. I feel like to be a better worker, Alexa Bliss is very green. I like her. She's got great charisma. She has a great heel side to her. She's very smarky. She's a heel that you want to hate, and that's a good thing. But she's quite green still. She's okay in the ring, but she's quite green still. And I feel like you only get better when you work with better competitors. And with everybody working with Becky Lynch, they can all get better. As you saw, Alexa Bliss's best match in NXT was against Bayley, a much superior worker. So I'm hoping that Becky Lynch can really help Alexa Bliss and maybe pull her to a 3-star, a good matchup, which I will see as a success if their match is a 3-star. If it's above it, great. If it's too much below it, it won't be too much of a success to me. It needs to be at least a 3-star match at the pay-per-view to really be a full-on success, a good matchup in my eyes. Of course, 3 stars is what I perceive as good. So yeah, really shocking. 2 3/4 stars. It was nice to see Alexa Bliss win. It wasn't like oh yeah, great. It was like a shocking win, which makes total sense because she lost first at Backlash, so it really keeps her very credible. Then we had AJ Styles backstage again, this time looking for another partner in Kane. Kane would laugh and walk away. AJ Styles still doesn't have a partner. Kane's a babyface, so I don't know why Styles would look to Kane for a partner. Why did they not look to Bray Wyatt, was my asking. And then we had the next segment where Heath Slater would sign his SmackDown Live contract. I honestly felt like something would happen here where he wouldn't end up signing the contract. And Daniel Bryan mentioned on Talking Smack how he didn't sign it because the Ascension interrupted. Now, Slater signs the contract, then cuts a promo, and Shane takes the contract away. So I imagine he has signed the contract, unless there's a mistake there. But anyway, as I just said, the Ascension would interrupt Heath during his promo, talking about getting a double wide, and a match would be set for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team titles, the Ascension against Heath Slater and Rhino. And I was dreading that Heath Slater and Rhino were going to lose. I had a bad feeling they were going to lose to the Ascension of all teams. And I did like the Ascension 3 years ago, but now they have no credibility. They are very much jobbers. And while I do think every tag team needs to be made look strong, I really didn't want them to beat Slater and Rhino here. And thankfully, they didn't. The match lasted around probably 3 minutes. Rhino pinned, I believe, Victor with the gore, and Slater and Rhino retain. That does suggest to me they will be losing the belts very quickly. When you are given a title defense, it does sometimes mean that you will be losing the belt at the next pay-per-view. So look for the Usos to maybe beat Slater and Rhino at the pay-per-view, which honestly, that's fine booking, and I like it. Fine segment overall. Heath was fairly charismatic, talking about getting a double wide. The matchup, 3 minutes, so I'm not really going to grade it. AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, and James Ellsworth were backstage. James Ellsworth, of course, the jobber that Braun Strowman beat on the first Raw after the brand split. Everybody loved James Ellsworth. He would be AJ Styles' partner in the main event. AJ Styles was very unhappy about this, and Daniel Bryan was smiling with glee. Why does Daniel Bryan hate AJ Styles? I don't quite get why he hates AJ Styles, but you know, this was it was fine. Orton would then address Bray Wyatt. I can't remember really what happened here, but I remember it ended with Eric Rowan coming out attacking Randy Orton, and Orton hit him with an RKO out of nowhere. So again, more about legitimising the RKO than anything, but it seems like the feud will continue. I think these two could have a good matchup, so I am happy that the feud is going to continue, and I hope they do have a good matchup at No Mercy. Main event time, Dean Ambrose and John Cena against AJ Styles and James Ellsworth, who would be attacked by The Miz before the matchup, and The Miz would be announced as AJ's new partner. Decent little matchup. I gave it 2 3/4 stars. In the end, Cena pinning The Miz with the AA. The finish to me, you really needed The Miz to be strong. And I know losing to Cena doesn't really hurt his credibility, but I don't think The Miz should be losing at all at the moment. So, 2 3/4 stars. Decent little matchup. After the matchup, Dean Ambrose would Dirty Deeds John Cena and say, "Don't you dare disrespect me again." As earlier in the obviously in the night, the one of the best parts of the opening segment, and I really did like that opening segment, was when John Cena would go to Dean Ambrose. You know what, Dean? Stone Cold was right. You have lost it. You have taken your foot off the pedal. You have, you know, lost your steam. And then basically Ambrose would call him a movie star wannabe. Just really, really good heat between the two. And I hope that if neither wins the belt, which I imagine they won't, they go into a feud and have a big feud of their own. Neither needs to be a heel, and I imagine John Cena will never turn heel. Ambrose could turn heel, as I said, if they wanted him to. But neither has to be a heel to have a good babyface feud. And they can have a really, really good match, I think. So really, really good stuff from those guys. Dean Ambrose ends the show on top. And that is how you end Smackdown Live. I think overall, my end notes for the show were that the promo work on the show was fantastic. Ambrose, Cena, Styles, Ziggler, Miz. I thought that the Orton promo was okay. There was another really good promo that I liked. I can't remember who it's from. Who else was the other really good promo? Sorry about this. No one really. Becky was okay. But a great promo work on the show, much better than Raw's, but I do think Raw had better match quality. So in the end, which show did I enjoy more? I think that I enjoyed the 2 promo segments on both shows. I loved the opening segment on SmackDown Live. I loved the Zayn Jericho highlight reel on Raw. So in the end, I really have to look at the wrestling. And the wrestling on Raw was just a lot better. There was decent matches on the show, the main event and the women's match, but Raw had a very good main event with Reigns and Owens, and a decent women's triple threat, which was probably slightly better than the women's match on the show, and because there's less women, it's a little bit less complicated, and a very good Cesaro-Sheamus matchup. It's the 5th match in the best of 5. So I'm going to give the point this week and my final week to Raw, but I don't think it matters. I think it does matter. Does that mean it's 4 all? I believe that means it's 4 all to Monday Night Raw, because I didn't like SmackDown last week. So that's how we end the SmackDown versus Raw on a draw. So very interesting, especially because SmackDown Live really did dominate early on after that fantastic episode of Raw. So yeah, that was it, guys. That was probably my final SmackDown Live review. If I can get reviews up, I will try very, very hard. I'm going to try and get a review up after my NXT review tomorrow, within the week that I'm in Lincoln, so I can, you know, just show you and tell you what the schedule will be. And I may still review NXT because that'll be shorter and I won't have to review the Cruiserweight Classic anymore. But it's been really, really fun. I do want to thank everyone for supporting me, all my subscribers, all my viewers, all my friends, and of course the world of pro wrestling, because without it, I wouldn't be here talking about it. So thanks a lot, guys. This has been Raw vs. Lot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Tell me your thoughts on this episode of SmackDown Live. What do you think to the No Mercy Triple Threat main event? I think it's very exciting. It's different. What do you think to the Becky Lynch against Alexa Bliss? What do you think to Alexa Bliss kind of shocking people and being the #1 contender? And what do you think to the reign of Slater and Rhino so far? It's been a good one. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Revolver Wrestler.